Hey guys, so here's 3 ways to add a knowledge base to your AI voice agent. We're going to see from the most simple option to one of the most complex but also most useful, and that will give you more flexibility and so on. Okay, so the first option is to just add the knowledge base inside of the system prompt. I'm using my LiveKit dashboard that I built myself that allows you to self-host AI voice agents in your own server and create the agents without having to code. This dashboard, by the way, is available in my School community, okay, if you want to have access to, and it's completely self-hosted, okay? Great, so having said that, I'm just going to be editing an agent, okay? And well, imagine that I'm having a restaurant agent here, okay? I'm just going to go inside of the personal assistant, okay, but doesn't really matter. And inside of the system prompt, I have just asked ChatGPT to give me a sample restaurant menu, okay? So I'm just going to copy it, and imagine that this is your restaurant menu or your customer menu, okay? If you have a customer that owns a restaurant, and you'll just have to paste the knowledge base here, okay? Just make sure that it's with one hashtag. That means that it's a headline, no, that it's a section title, okay? And you could be removing this sample restaurant menu, and you could modify some of the message and so on, okay? And just have it here. So starters, main courses, pizzas, dessert, beverage. This note should be removed. And yeah, that's going to be it. Now the agent is going to know exactly what is the menu and what dishes are inside of the menu. This is the most simple approach and can be useful if you have a static knowledge base, for example, a restaurant menu. That's why I use this example. But if you want to be able to modify the knowledge base, or to be able that other automations that you have in n8n, for example, be able to modify the knowledge base and then the agent have access to that knowledge base, then you'll have to use Google Sheets, Google Docs, or wherever integration that n8n has of these types, okay? You could also be adding Google Drive and so on, okay? And imagine that another workflow is modifying this Google Sheet by just connecting the Google Sheet to the MCP server, that in turn we have this MCP server connected to the agent inside of the n8n MCP server URL. Then the agent is going to have access to the data of the Google Sheet or the Google Docs or Google Drive or whatever, okay? So this is the second approach. This allows you to have, as I've said, other workflows or yourself or your employees to be able to modify the data inside of the knowledge base, okay? You could also be adding CRM and CRM integration. For example, if you're using HubSpot, n8n has a HubSpot integration, okay? So you could be having your quote-unquote knowledge base in HubSpot, have your employees or your client's employees be working on HubSpot all day or whenever they need to, and then the agent is going to have access to that data, okay? So this is the second approach. And the third approach that is going to be more efficient is to use a RAG system. I have already made a video on how to self-host a RAG system. It is using LiteRag, that it's a self-hosted RAG system. And I have already made a video, as I said. This is the one, okay? Here I show you how to install the LiteRag system and how to connect it to n8n, and then how to connect n8n to your agent, okay? So by just using the n8n MCP server URL, and then it is using these 2 different tools. Here you'll be defining the URL of the LiteRag system where you have installed it, the API key to have access to the information, and the specific query that is going to be defined by the agent itself to look for specific information that you have asked it to look for. And also it's going to be able to add information to the RAG system, okay? So you could have the agent add specific information that you asked the agent to add to the RAG system, or if you define it properly inside of the system prompt in the tools section where you are defining when and where and how the agent is going to use specific tools that you define here, You could have the agent add information to the RAG system that considers to be important, even if you haven't told the agent to save that information. And well, the benefit of having the self-hosted RAG system is that the data, once stored, is private, okay? And you can have whatever data that you want. The only point where the data is going to be exposed is using the voice model or the LLM model or whatever, okay? Because you are probably going to be using a third-party provider instead of self-hosting your AI inference, because you need the proper hardware, and with commercial hardware it's not possible to have that type of quick responses, okay? So yeah, the only point where the data is going to be exposed is there, but at least you are minimizing the points of data exposure, okay? So of course, I would recommend you just use the RAG system. You'll have the video right now at the center of your screen so that you can go watch it. See you there.